Well, hello there, my silly, fun-loving, organ-harvesting compatriots, and welcome back to the Organ Empire. Today, we've got some pretty big things going on, like going completely automatic with our organ harvesting, and finally completing the ultimate organ farm and/or empire. But first, I think it's long overdue that we give Cam, our main surgeon and only human, a proper humble abode, and that's exactly what we're doing. Building it out of concrete. A very dense and hardened material, but not to worry, as we are going to have some very soft drapes, couches, chairs, and even a few rugs that are made out of human leather, as it is the most abundant textile to us. And once it was complete, Cam seems pretty darn content with the whole place. Look at him sleeping like a baby. Well, old buddy, old pal, I hope you got plenty of rest, because it looks like we have a group of tribespeople coming to try to kill us now, and not only that, but they appear to also be sappers, meaning they're going to come right through our walls. The thing is, though, they seem to want inside, and they seem to think that we don't want them inside, but on the contrary, we're always looking to take new patients. As a matter of fact, we even decided to crack our doors wide open, giving them an easy way in, but they're very stubborn and a bit too proud to use our doors, so they continue trying to mash through our walls, making a great big mess and a great big hole. But after they opened up the walls, they may have been a bit surprised to see, well, nothing at all, because our tear gas was blinding them and they were getting hit with several barrages of darts to knock them out, of course. Now, due to this series of less than fortunate events for their little raid plan here, it seems that they would attempt to flee. Of course, we couldn't just let them get away. They needed medical treatment, so we started tracking some of them down, shooting them in the back of the head with our darts, knocking them out. This way we can take them back to our practice and our clinics to make sure that they're healing up okay, specifically internally. As our new guest and patients are healing up a bit, we started repairing the great big hole in our wall, which literally took a few seconds and was easy peasy lemon squeezy. For those poor souls who were not lucky enough to be taken into our clinic, we would end up shoving them down our auto cutters, turning them into leather and meat. Now, there is a little secret that I've been keeping from you guys with the auto cutters. We can edit the settings a little bit, and in doing so, we can actually have the auto cutters harvest the organs for us. I could have turned this on from the very beginning, but I didn't want to make this organ farm too overpowered. I want to say thank you to everyone who left comments explaining that I could do this. I was aware since the very beginning, of course, but, I just wanted to tease y'all a little bit there. Now, instead of using some of our best medicine for every single organ individually to have it harvested, we can actually just use one medicine to euthanize our patients. Not to worry, though, this is extremely humane. Well, about as humane as it gets. Now, I mean, look at that face. Does he look like he died in pain? I don't think so. He did, though, but he doesn't know it. Now, perhaps a demonstration to see if these auto cutters really will remove the organs perfectly with surgical precision. Holy shit. Indeed they do. And quite literally with surgical precision, upholding the standards that our customers expect from our quality products. This is pretty incredible. I think our work just got a lot easier, gentlemen and ladies. Well then, now that we don't have to waste time harvesting all these by hand, we'll go ahead and just euthanize everybody. But it's a bit of a weird sentence, but we did. No, genuinely, we did. And then we stuffed them down the auto cutter, and we got their sweet, succulent internal organs for sale. It might help to think of these folks' organs like prime real estate, and we're just a great big landlord looking to cut it all out and to sell it, you know? We very quickly started filling up our organ shelves in the storage facility we built last episode. Speaking of storage, we have acquired a vast fortune, and thus we need somewhere to store all the money that we we've been making, and since the organs that we sell, our products, are so incredibly important to us as well as our vast fortune, why not just store them all in the same place? So we started digging some large storage cellars to store all the silver along with some pallets, you know, nothing too crazy. The only issue we really faced here was after we got all these dug and built was trying to get all of our silver moved from our current shitty, shabby storage facility into the much better one with a higher capacity, but we did get it done. And would you look at that, just on time, a large band of Itacan pirates looking to become patients in our clinic. Don't mind if we do, ladies and gentlemen. I assume they're ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. They're very, very hairy. You know, that makes me think, as we're beating the absolute dog shit out of them, no pun intended, because, you know, they're animals, I'm quite glad that we're not going to be doing all these surgeries by hand. We would have to do quite a bit of shaving to get in there to the organs. Best we let the auto cutters handle it, I'd say. Of course, though, the auto cutters wouldn't work without us slicing the brainstem of these fellows first, and then also stuffing their carcasses inside, so that's something we'll need to tend to. I did want to mention, though, not only are we being more efficient by having the auto cutters go ahead and, you know, rip out the organs or surgically remove them, whatever you want to call it, but we're also using up a lot less medicine. Not only that, but the quality of the medicine only has to be herbal to go about euthanizing our patients. So we are saving a lot of time, but also a lot of money as well. Maximum profits for minimal effort, just as the Lord intended. Not only was our butchery room beginning to get quite stuffed and full, but as were our organ storage facilities. As you can see, we are really cramming them in there. Looks like we're going to need to make some expansions very soon, especially in our butchery, but as for now, we're going to focus constructing a few planter boxes. You see, the soil here is very sandy. We're in the desert, of course, so we need a place to grow herbal medicine away from all the rice fields that we've been growing. Though, come to think of it, we won't really be feeding patients all that often anymore, so maybe we just convert those into herbal medicine fields. We'll see. It's time to expand the butchery as promised, and we are just going to be throwing up a little bit more of a wall, opening up the area a bit more for some more auto cutters in case we get some really large raids. Initially, I thought about opening this room up exponentially, that way we have plenty of room for all the items that end up coming off of these folks who we are butchering. The thing is, though, we would have to have a map-sized butchery room, and that's just not ethical, nor is it realistic. I guess the latter of which is more important, because none of this is really ethical. Since we have so many products, though, it's time for us to begin communicating once more with the Orbital Traders Hub, and a few days later, we would end up having a bulk goods trade ship in orbit, at which point we would begin trading and bartering a little bit, buying much of their steel, plasteel, advanced components, normal components, and also getting plenty of silver for our glorious high-quality organs. And in case you're wondering why we needed all these resources, well, we had big plans of building 3 more auto cutters. Now, realistically, we don't even need these, as the 3 that we currently have are perfectly fine, but I don't know, more for show, I guess? Yeah, they look cool, that's it, yeah. But our next construction projects not only looked cool, but they were very, very much needed. We're adding in many more taser turrets. By this point, we basically have the damn thing sitting on top of one another, but we need them for the larger raids that we've been experiencing. A couple of days later, we had yet another raid, so allow me to show you what I mean. You see, not only did I want these taser turrets because they could easily take down more enemies, but it seems to me that the taser turrets may just be what ends up killing a lot of the people who are raiding us, and that actually makes harvesting their organs without any real damage to them much easier. Now, technically, all these turrets are supposed to be non-lethal, but when you mix getting tased with tear gas and also some dart guns just constantly hitting you, you're bound to have quite a few deaths. And when you have a great big fire like this, some of these folks are bound to also be burned to death, even as impids. And if they don't, we can also come in and finish them off while they're lying on the ground, which I actually find to be a much much better method as it doesn't damage their organs, just as euthanizing them, and we don't even have to use medicine, the best of both worlds. The only real task we have nowadays with harvesting organs is shoving all these corpses in. Perhaps we need a stick to really poke them, to really just get them in there, but I digress. Anyway though, as you can see, we were getting a lot of organs, and since we've turned up the efficiency and what have you of these auto cutters as well, not only are we getting organs and meat and leather, but we're also getting a lot of different textiles from all the clothing and stuff that our patients have been wearing, and thus we have a lot of material. So many in fact that it is literally pouring out the sides of this building as we're cutting up corpses. As I mentioned earlier, it would take a gigantic ass building to just sustain a few of these and everything that they cut up, yada yada yada, so that's why we're not doing it. And as you can see, we have literally filled up every last single shelf that we had built for organs to the brim. So many in fact that we would have to build many more, and we would actually end up easily filling these new shelves as well. We got a lot of organs, okay? Cam often liked to visit our organ storage facility. Some say that he goes in there late at night and rolls around on top of all of them. It's true too. I watch him do it. Since we have all these new resources though, especially textiles and stuff like that we're getting from all the clothing that we're chopping up, we need a new storage facility. So we started mining out a small section up here in the northmost part of the base where we were storing all the tainted textiles previously, just letting them rot away. That way we have more room. We're gonna do our absolute best to get all this stored properly, but I gotta level with you. If it ain't human meat, and if it ain't human leather, but most importantly, if it ain't human organs, I really do not give a shit what happens to it. Unless we need it, of course, which we normally don't. We have a little bit too much of everything. At one point, we had a combat supplier visiting our base here, so we started selling them. Plenty of organs, of course, but we also sold a lot of the weapons that we were getting from these raids, as we really had no interest in such weapons. And in exchange, we would actually end up purchasing many a non-lethal weapon, like tasers, rubber shotguns, tear gas, etc, etc. Most of this we've already seen 1,000 times, all except for the dart gun there, which is going to be easily helping us tranquilize people, as well as the stun gun pistols, which is going to do the same, of course. But this also made me realize we could really use some upgrades to our non-lethal turrets, as they could use a little bit of work, so we're going to start researching a new upgrade type, which in turn will also unlock some new different types of turrets that we also look forward to using. Not to worry though, as Cam is finishing up this research, we will also be taking care of more patients out here in the knockout box, which is quickly turning into an actual kill box, I suppose. We're beginning to see a lot more corpses than unconscious folk. Not that we mind, as we have no conscience with our automated malicious machine force, who are just stuffing bodies in here and getting many a meat and leather and blah 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 blah, everything we've talked about this entire series out of these machines. And I gotta say, I think we are quickly becoming, although I think we have been for a long time, the organ capital of the world, and maybe even the galaxy, possibly even the universe, who knows? This is more organs than you will ever see anywhere else, even behind your local sketchy McDonald's in the dumpster with that weird guy wearing the face mask. Perhaps that's not a universal experience. My apologies. Anywho, we ended up finishing our research into the upgrades for non-lethal turrets, and we would waste absolutely no time adding a few of these new upgraded turrets to our roster. The ones that we decided to start building first were actually some tear gas launcher turrets. Now, as we were building these, the first one started going off and firing, and I had no idea what the hell was happening, but it looks like we had a mad boomalope in the area. Unfortunately, because of this, we almost completely killed Cam, but he survived, which is the good news, and the other good news is we now know that these canister launchers can actually fire over top of walls, helping us out with raids before they even make it here. It would seem our days of being attacked by sappers are a thing of the past. Although, even though we have all these new devices, our electronic defense systems, automated of course, we need more power. They use a lot of power, and we need more power. So we ended up building yet another geothermal generator to really indefinitely power the entire base furthermore. And adding on to that, we would also get rid of some of the old war runes that we have here inside the base, getting rid of that and ending up adding a nice battery bank in its place. We already had one, but now we have a much larger one to store even more power. Not to worry though, we hadn't forgot the name of the game, and thus we began trading off plenty of our organs we have in storage in exchange for components, silver, and we would even get a new tier 2 android. Something that I was tickled plum pink about, because we need more and more of these androids to do hauling. That's really our main task and issue that we face at the moment, so we also went out to do some trading with our neighbors to the east, and once we returned, we had an entire squad of androids. We didn't discriminate against any type of tier of android either, the reason being, of course, because a tier 1 and a tier 5 can haul corpses to the auto cutter and organs out of the auto cutter just as good as one or the other. We would also, however, end up purchasing many a bionic body part for Cam himself, with that being a bionic eye, arm, and a bionic spine as well. We immediately started performing each of these surgeries to install the new body parts, and by the time it was all said and done, he was a little bit more machine and a little bit less of a man, going right along with our android force that we have under our service. Now, of course, we didn't have to do these surgeries, but they did increase his manipulation and sight, which helped out quite a bit when it came to taking down any patients who were trying to get into the clinic a little bit too fast, making Cam quite the deadeye with his syringe gun. And of course, even better, it would also make him very good at surgeries, better than he was before. Now, obviously, this is just for the love of the game at this point, as our auto cutters really have that taken care of. That department is strictly automated nowadays, but I think Cam just really misses holding a scalpel in his hand and ripping out someone's internals, and you just don't get that type of precision detail and fun loving, well, fun with a machine, now do you? The answer to that question? No. No, you do not. Now, I must say, though, our little base, except for a minor power issue that you might be seeing right now, because I forgot to reconnect everything after building our new battery bank, is honestly complete. Everything's perfect. We have an automated organ harvesting farm, all except for bringing the dead patients in ourselves, which really can't be automated. Technically, I guess it is if you count the androids that bring them in, but I digress. What I'm really getting at is, I think it's time that we try to sell off much of our gigantic stockpile of organs. I mean, it is literally absolutely ginormous. Like, we have way too many, okay? So we are going to be making several calls to the Orbital Traders Hub, and this took a very long time to do. We were selling individual organs like this for a long time, so long in fact that I had to go into the mod settings and edit it so that we didn't have to wait 5 or 6 days for these traders to show up after requesting them, because I was getting so sick and tired of sitting around and waiting on them to show up while nothing was happening. I gotta be honest with you, in the end, it still kind of broke me a little bit, because I was trying not to take more organs in during this time, except when I had to, of course. When we got raids, we weren't out looking for people to attack and stuff, of course, and yet we still had a huge stockpile. And look at all this money. We have way too much money. I have no idea what to do with it all, and I gotta level with you. I think we're through. Our mission, our objectives, and our goals all completed. Not only did we complete them, but we entirely surpassed them. Very easily, I might add. I've never done one of these before, but this was absolutely incredible, and we have become the largest intergalactic organ trading and harvesting service on this side of the Milky Way, or whatever galaxy this is. And it is all because of you. Yes, all those screaming pig people and normal people and tribes people and people who we were ripping their organs out. That's because of you. You should really give yourself a pat on the back. Good luck sleeping tonight. Hello! I wanted to pop in at the end of the video per the usual and say thank you guys ever so much for watching this video, and of course this little mini series that I've done here on the channel. I've never done one of these organ harvesting colonies before, and I gotta say it's really fun. I see why everyone does it. I used to see these all the time, and I watched a few and I was like, you know, I want to do something different. Seems like everyone does those. I get why everyone does these. It's awesome. People love it. I love it. It's just so much fun. A little bit of quirky organ harvesting. Never hurt nobody, right? I also wanted to say, of course, if you guys want to get early access to episodes in these series and mini-series and stuff like that, you can always subscribe to the Rat Specialist here on my Patreon. Just going to pump that real quick. You normally get those at least a day early, if not sometimes 3 to 4 days early, just depending on how fast I can crank out a video. If anyone is interested in that, just want to pump it a little bit as mentioned, but once again, thank you all for watching. I love you, and I will see you later. Goodbye.